Today's class is called What Do You Know? And essentially what I want to know is what do you all know? And what are you thinking about? And just related to a lot of different things that we're going to talk about all semester. And some of them are pretty mainstream, and a few of them we're going to walk kind of close to the edge a little bit. But you really just want to see what you have to say about things. And I'm going to ask for, it's going to be all volunteers. We're going to, you all are going to be talking. I basically am going to slack for the next couple of classes. So you all are going to do my job. And here's the thing to remember. There are no gotcha moments here. And you all need this. We need to be kind. Kind. Got it? This is not the standard social media where we slam people and someone says the wrong thing and there's all the buzz in the class, whatever the wrong thing is, because all of us could or would say the wrong thing. I do it all the time, obviously. So we're just having a cool conversation. We're going to have a conversation. So as you volunteer, remember that there's no gotcha stuff. It's actually kind of I think we're rocking. Anybody who's taken a women's studies class?
I'm the president of Queer and Trans People of Color, which is an org that is based off of intersectionality. So intersectionality is when a minority has like a double minority, if that makes sense. So like since I'm a person of color and I'm also gay, that's an intersection. And then also being a woman of color and also being gay, also an intersectionality. And like, yeah, that's kind of what intersectionality is.
So why is so you got that?
Yeah, I got it.
How, in what ways are you intersectional?
I'm gay as well.
You're gay? Is the whole class gay? Like, what's up here? Is anyone not gay? You know what I mean? Jada, are you gay? Like, is everyone gay? Are you gay? Jeff's gay. I'm gay. We're all gay. So let's just be, dude. Awesome, man. All right. Damn. All right. So what's it mean? Okay. So you're gay. You're white. Are you white? You look like you could be Latina.
No, I'm white.
Okay.
Also, just like being a woman.
Being a woman. What's your social class?
Oh, I'm middle upper class.
Okay, got you. How and why is intersectionality important? Pretend you're teaching Intro to Women's Studies and you're teaching it for the very first time. Why is it important that we understand this concept?
I think it's important that people learn about intersectionality because when you do talk about privilege and like upon like white privilege and then like having another like junction of like being gay, like that's also like another thing to be discriminated against. So being queer and a woman, it makes like walking through life so much harder because there are so many different things that people can persecute you for. So like I've been persecuted myself like on this campus for being Asian, or I've been heckled because I'm Asian.
What do you mean by persecuted?
Persecuted as in, I guess I'm going to go personal, but I've walked through like the streets of Boston before.
Okay, got you.
And someone has told me to get out of this country.
Out of this country?
Even though I'm American born.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she was basing that off of like what I look like, even though I'm an American citizen.
So intersectionality then is this idea, from what I'm hearing from you, right? It's this idea that you can't, if you really want to understand the complexities of the world, like you got to understand positions. And in order to understand positions, you really have to understand where people are coming from. So, for example, just a very simple thing. When you walk into a room like this, right? And we're like start having these conversations about white people and white supremacy and white this and white that. And then you got some poor white person over here. Who's poor and white? Who's poor? Kate, this is Katie, who's poor and white. And then just stay standing. She's poor. Give her money. Do something. I don't know, right? Stay right there. And who's rich and black? What's your name? Rebecca? Of course you are. That's such a rich name. Are you white also? That's a white name. Here, stand up really fast. And then, just really quickly, you can. So here, you ready?
Oh yeah.
So you got Katie over here,
Okay.
who's poor and white. You got Rebecca here, who's black and rich. Intersectionality says, well, what are you going to say about black people that includes her? And what are you going to say about white people that includes her? When in fact, wait, what are we talking about here? Like, what are we talking about? Like intersectionality means that you got to bring wealth into it, you got to bring class into it, you got to bring the fact that she's a woman into it, you got to bring all these things in, and you got to do it with her as well. Because are you going to look at her and just say, "Oh, she's all so full of privilege"? How many black and brown people in here would rather be poor and white than rich and brown? So if you want to just make a statement about, so let's say you're in a group and you know nothing about her, but you make some statement about her white privilege, right? White privilege, Matt. And you know nothing about where she comes from. Like, come on, man, this is where intersectionality comes in. So do you want to say anything about that? You can have a seat. Thanks, man. Thanks for sharing, by the way. Yeah. You want to say? You see that, right? What do you think about what I just did right there?
I think that's very important to point out because there are so many different ways to be intersectional, and people don't realize that. Because like ableism is also something that's an intersection. I think there are always going to be different categories and different people and walks of life that are going to face different intersections. But when you talk about the white aspect is when you go into like a job field or something like that, regardless of if your income, basically, people judge off of appearances, and certain people get less opportunity based off of what their name is and how it's spelled. So like people will see you and like in a job interview, and like versus someone who is usually like a person of color,
No, go ahead.
Oh, and like they'll choose you over them based off of like biases, if that makes sense. So like that's still like you're still having privilege even though you're intersectional, if that makes sense. Like I am a male presenting lesbian. So like there's like privilege in that, like people like can tell that I am like gay, basically. And there's like there is privilege and there's not privilege, and it's really deep.
Dude, it's totally deep. Yeah, we'll come back to it.
I don't want to take
bro.
a lot of